What's up, Raider Nation? Welcome to TRU Raider Podcast. I'm your host, TRU Raider. Now, I just wanted to make a quick video for you guys because another tweet came out from Vinny Bonsignore about uh, things are heating up for Ben Johnson going to Las Vegas Raiders. Now, this keeps happening, right? There's been several tweets that are going out from Vinny B and others. There's different articles that are happening. ESPN analysts, it keeps saying Ben Johnson, Ben Johnson, Ben Johnson. And I really think that there's a lot to this, right? It's not just the beat writers for the Raiders that are, putting this kind of narrative out there. There's a lot of people talking about it, and I keep seeing, I saw a video earlier today and it was a Bears guy and he was talking about how it's absolutely ridiculous that this would even be considered by the Raiders, because they really believe that he's going to go over there. But I mean, the Bears are just interviewing so many people right now. It just strikes me as somebody who doesn't really believe that they're going to be able to get who they want. And I haven't really heard anything coming out from the Bears camp either, just like really saying like Ben Johnson is our guy. Whereas the Raiders have pretty much it's already out there in the universe that this is who we want, right? And I think really just the other interviews that we have lined up, interviewing Pete Carroll, doing things like that, that really all that's about is just kind of doing our due diligence for one, and just really kind of having a backup plan, right? You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. If we put all of our eggs in the Ben Johnson basket, that could go horribly wrong for us. We could, just be totally convinced, kind of like what happened with Cliff Kingsbury, right? Antonio Pierce put all his eggs in one basket. Cliff Kingsbury came in the building. It was announced, hey, he's going to be the offensive coordinator. And then all of a sudden it fell apart. And once he left, it was almost like they didn't really know what to do, and then they just jumped on Luke Getsy, and that turned out to be horrible. And so what I would hate for the Raiders to do is miss on Ben Johnson and then just kind of take a stab at somebody and just bring somebody in the building. That would be really awful thing for us to do. Really, we got to do a good job with getting this coach this time. We've had too much of a turnover. I know that Tom Brady is playing a big role in trying to stop the turnover that's happening in Vegas in the front office. And I really think that bringing in somebody like Ben Johnson gives us the best possible advantage, not only just from a skill set, and he's one of the most sought after up and coming coaches, but also because he's young. He's 38 years old. He still has a lot of years ahead of him to coach in the league. And I really like the idea of having a coach that's with us for years and years to come. Kind of like how the Steelers have Mike Tomlin and so on and so. You see some of these teams that they have a lot of longevity in their coaching position. And I would really love to see what could happen as far as Ben Johnson potentially being a guy that stays with us for a long time. Now, it's not going to be announced for a while if he's going to actually end up taking the job or not, if we're going to hire him. And that's because the Lions are still in the playoffs. And if you do not know, we cannot hire Ben Johnson as long as the Lions are still in the playoffs. So it would have to be that the Lions lose, and then once they're out of the playoffs, then they'd probably bring him in for an in-person interview. And then at that point, they would probably offer him the job and hopefully he would take it. Another option is after they win the Super Bowl, right? Let's say the Lions go all the way to the Super Bowl and they win. And then I believe that it's like 1 to 2 weeks after that we'd be eligible to actually hire. And so if that's the case, I could see a world where it's going to be a little bit until we really get to know what's happening. So for right now, yes, we're going to have a lot of videos that are about speculation. It's like, oh, Ben Johnson this and Vinny B tweeted that. And, Hondo said this and that and blah, blah, blah. And a lot of this is very interesting to me because I actually really believe that this is something that could happen. I remember when all the talk about Devontae Adams came up, and it was like, Come on, dude. They're not going to trade for Devontae Adams and reunite Derek Carr with his college quarterback. Like, that's not going to happen. And then, boom, breaking news, here we go. And so I could definitely see this being a situation where we end up actually getting Ben Johnson in the building. The more I look at it, the more I really believe that this is actually the ideal landing spot for Ben Johnson. And so, if you believe what I believe, then you probably believe that Ben Johnson's coming in too. If you disagree with this and you really think that the Raiders should go a different direction, please leave a comment. Let me know what direction you would rather see. Another thing that Hondo Carpenter was talking about today, and I'm not so sure if the Raiders would even take a stab at this, but he was talking about how Hendon Hooker has already been in Ben Johnson's system for 2 years, right? Hendon Hooker right now is sitting as the backup as Lions quarterback. And I remember when Hendon Hooker was in the draft, there was a lot of people in Raider Nation that wanted to bring him in. We did not end up drafting him. He ended up going to the Lions. And yes, of course, he's going to be a backup. They already have their quarterback there. But it'd be very interesting to see, if Ben Johnson decides that he wants to bring Hendon Hooker over, because, what Hondo Carpenter was suggesting was like if we traded like a second round pick for him. I would not want to trade a second round pick for him. There's too much uncertainty about, is this guy even a starter, But if we could get him for cheaper than that, even like a third, right? The third round pick that we got for Devontae Adams, I would be very interested in bringing, if Ben Johnson decides that he wants to bring him in the building, that would tell me everything I need to know. Because Ben Johnson's already been working with him for 2 years, and if he really believes that Hendon Hooker is worth bringing over, then I would believe that he's worth being a starter in this league. If Ben Johnson doesn't make that move, then it says everything. It means that Hendon Hooker is a backup quarterback, and we already have one of those. Heck, we already have 2 of those. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments. This is going to be a quick video, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Love you, nation.